You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
After 24 days in jail under charges of purchase, abetment, conspiracy, and possession of drugs, none of which were admissible in court, Aryan Khan, son of Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan, was granted bail by the Bombay High Court on 28 October. The cruise ship drug case has been dominating the headlines for close to a month now and buzzing with new updates since the arrest on 2nd October. And despite the extensive pursuit and media hype around this high-profile case, the NCB investigation raised more questions than answers. Appearing on behalf of Aryan Khan, former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi stated that his arrest was in direct violation of constitutional guarantees and none of the quote-unquote unbelievable and shocking WhatsApp chats recovered from Khan's phone relate to the cruise party. What has further muddied the waters in the NCB's case are allegations made by a witness in the case of Prabhakar Sail against Sameer Wankhede, who is the Mumbai NCB chief and in charge of the investigation. In an affidavit, Sail claimed that he was made to sign blank pages by Wankhede and that he overheard conversations that point to corruption and extortion of money. And parallel to the NCB case, something else is brewing entirely, with Wankhede now being investigated for extortion and bribery by a 4-person team of the Mumbai police after 4 separate complaints were lodged against him. Seeing this, Wankhede has now been given interim relief from the Bombay High Court from arrest. But the entire Aryan Khan case saga shows us that how, despite many legal experts pointing out big holes in the probe, the NCB continued with the investigation for weeks. So what were the arguments made by the NCB and Khan's defense in court which led to the bail order? And looking back, did the NCB probe have any ground to stand? And did those big holes in the investigation, along with allegations against NCB officials themselves, stand to weaken the case? Joining me today to discuss the NCB's investigation in this case and the arguments made in the High Court are Prabhakar Sail, the Quint's legal editor, and Suhas Gokhale, a former senior official in Mumbai's Narcotics Drug Bureau. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. So this is where the Mumbai drug bust case is at right now. Aryan Khan, along with his friend Arbaz Merchant and actress Munmun Dhamecha, have been given bail by the Bombay High Court. The detailed order, according to the advocate Mukul Rohatgi, will be released tomorrow by the court. All three are likely to be released from jail on 29th or 30th October. Rohatgi's entry has also brought in some hard-hitting arguments in the case. On 27th October, tearing into the NCB's defense, Rohatgi had argued that not only there has been no occasion to arrest Khan without having anything to show for possession, but that he couldn't be charged with quote-unquote conscious possession either. From what we know, some contraband was recovered from Arbaz Merchant's shoes, who is a friend of Khan, and Rohatgi argued that quote-unquote what somebody else had in their shoe is not my concern. Possession of somebody else cannot be my possession unless there is control and knowledge. On 20th October, Rohatgi further argued that Khan's remand application was misleading and that it made one feel that large quantities were acquired from Aryan Khan. In regards to the claims of conspiracy under Section 29 of the NDPS Act, Rohatgi proceeded to make a rejoinder submission, stating that, quote-unquote, there was no meeting of the minds, there was no discussion that they will meet, and that they will get the substance and smoke. And we also have the Quint's legal editor, Prabhakar Sail, highlighting some of the key arguments made in the court.
So we don't obviously have the detailed grounds for the order at this point from the Bombay High Court, which, obviously we will need to see that to get a full, clear idea of exactly why, the NCB's arguments have been rejected, why the NDPS court's reasoning is not valid, and therefore why Aryan Khan has been granted bail at this stage. But there is, at the very least, I think it is pretty clear that either which way, this is a bit of a damning indictment of the NCB. Because, look, what the NCB, have been arguing, they argued it in the NDPS court and they've argued it here again, is that in this case, even though when we're looking at Aryan Khan, Arbaz Merchant, and Munmun Dhamecha, the amount of drugs connected with them is, small quantity, 6 grams of charas from Arbaz Merchant, 5 grams of charas from Munmun Dhamecha, nothing from Aryan Khan, but, they're trying to tie him to Arbaz Merchant. They're saying despite that, Section 37 of the NDPS Act applies, and Section 37 of the NDPS Act makes it really, really tough to get bail. So therefore, you can't grant bail here. Now, they've said that this applies because there's a conspiracy between Aryan Khan and the others in connection with some of the other accused from whom larger quantities, including a commercial quantity of drugs, was found. And if you tot up all the totals of the of the drugs which have been seized, it all comes to a commercial quantity. So therefore, since there's a conspiracy, and since that brings in commercial quantities of drugs, therefore Section 37 applies. Section 37 says that the court can't grant bail unless a person unless they think the person is not guilty of the offense on a prima facie level. So, that's how the NCB has been trying to deny bail to these guys. And that's why the NDPS court actually did deny bail to them. But for the Bombay High Court to now say no means, that two things have happened. Either they've said, what, your whole claim of conspiracy is nonsensical, and therefore Section 37 never applied, and therefore we're granting bail because, the other offenses against these guys are things which have a maximum punishment of 1 year in jail. So therefore would be the kind of thing where you would grant bail. Or they're saying, what, fine, maybe your conspiracy case does work, but these guys are actually prima facie not guilty of that whatever larger big scale conspiracy offense which exists. So either which way, not a great day for the NCB when it comes to this order. Now, if we look at this is not exactly something which should be surprising. If we look at the arguments made by senior advocate Mukul Rohatgi for Aryan Khan, by Amit Desai for Arbaz Merchant, this case has always been very weak, and they really highlighted this in the 2 days of arguments at the Bombay High Court. Rohatgi pointed out that at the time of the arrest, like the very basic, one of the most basic things which is supposed to happen, which is supposed to be given the proper grounds for your arrest, that didn't happen back then itself. So right at the start, and that's something which is there in Article 22 of the Constitution. You can't just ignore that, even though there are special procedures under the NDPS Act. He said, moving on to the sort of merits of all of this, what is the case against Aryan Khan? That you can show conscious possession, the NCB says. But how are you really doing that, right? If you're saying he's in contact with Arbaz Merchant, okay, where is the communication between him and Arbaz Merchant, which actually talks about the drugs which were recovered from Arbaz? You got nothing there. You're looking at WhatsApp chats from 2018, to make this connection, which doesn't really make any sense. You can't use something from 3 years ago to say, oh, he knew that Arbaz was bringing drugs to this cruise party and they were going to do it. So, very, very strong argument there on that. He looks at, even in terms of conspiracy with other people, where is the evidence for it? Well, what is the connection you're drawing? The only WhatsApp chats you've got are between him and Arbaz Merchant, so not with any of the other accused. And the NCB themselves, if you remember, as has been recorded in the NDPS court order, have said that the chats with Aryan Khan and other people which involve discussions on drugs, apart from Arbaz Merchant, are with unknown persons. So not the other accused here. So how are you drawing this whole conspiracy between Aryan Khan and other people who've been arrested on this cruise raid? Rohatgi really hammered that point home. And it's something which the NCB didn't really have an answer to. You look at the arguments they made over the course of the last couple of days. They've not really added anything to the arguments which they've made previously, which have been very flawed on this aspect of conspiracy. That they've got nothing which really shows a conspiracy between the 8 accused who were arrested, around the same time from the ship, or the additional accused, including one from whom, a commercial quantity of one drug was found. There's no actual connection between Aryan Khan and these guys. And in fact, between most of them, between each other. So, the whole claim of conspiracy is really looking weak at this stage. And that was something which the lawyers did manage to hammer home. The one new thing which they tried to argue, the NCB, was the question of, Prabhakar Sail's affidavit saying, oh, look, this shows that, what we were saying earlier about a risk of witness tampering is genuine. Now, which is funny, because the whole thing which was coming out of the affidavit was, in any case, that there was an attempt to extort money from, to get Aryan Khan released. So to say that is proof of witness tampering is quite hilarious in the first place. But evidently, the court has not found any merit in that. Rohatgi strongly denied having any connection with Prabhakar Sail in his arguments. And they did also point out that that the leakage of chats was also an issue, which, as we know, on the day of the hearing, news channels suddenly got hold of these WhatsApp chats between Aryan Khan and other people, including Ananya Pandey, who had just been questioned by the NCB. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's very clear the Bombay High Court really has not taken a lot of these claims of conspiracy, of large commercial quantities of drugs and Aryan Khan's involvement in them very seriously. So, I mean, it's obviously a good day for Aryan Khan and his lawyers, but also an important one, I think, even in if we're looking at less high profile cases, to look at the fact that these cases being put together by the NCB are quite weak. Section 37 is being invoked, even though there's no real cause to do that. I mean, that's for supposed to be for the serious cases that you try to say, oh, this bar on bail applies, not for small level offenses. And I think that it really does highlight that the special NDPS court should have also granted bail here at an early stage. The Bombay High Court has done this with a degree of urgency as well, right? They've not said, oh, we'll spend some days thinking about it and then grant bail. They've granted it already, and they've said, our detailed order will come up, but in the meantime, these guys have to be given bail. So very, very good from the Bombay High Court in that sense, in terms of looking at liberty. A question for why the NDPS courts are not granting bail in these kind of cases and are coming up with unfounded conclusions about bars on bail and commercial quantities of drugs and conspiracies. And at the end of the day, yeah, the fact that that's been that's not worked is also I think a damning indictment of the NCB.
Now, one of the concerns that the NCB has raised in the court was that there was the chance of tampering of evidence, and even argued that Shah Rukh Khan's manager Pooja Dadlani was trying to influence witnesses. But given that all the evidence was seized by the NCB at the night of the arrest on 2nd October, and following that as well, any other evidence which was recovered by the NCB has been in their possession at all times. So, is there even a chance that evidence can be tampered? What are the protocols of seizure and filing of evidence once recovered from the accused? We took this question to former senior Mumbai NCB official Suhas Gokhale, and according to him, the possibility of any evidence being tampered with is out of the question, since protocol mandates that any drugs seized during any raid or arrest are weighed, bagged and tagged at the spot of the arrest, and the information is also sent to the NCB's headquarters the same day.
Before making out any case, proceeding for any raid,
Yes.
we summon two independent witnesses. Mark the word independent. People like Mr. KP Gosavi or for that matter, even Mr. Bhanushali. It is very difficult to say that they were independent. When two witnesses are summoned to act as punch witness, the first step the investigating officer takes is he checks, verifies the antecedents of the person. If he is involved in any criminal matter, that is the duty of the investigating officer. So if KP Gosavi was involved in some criminal cases, as reported by media,
Yes.
and of course today even he is arrested by Pune police in that Vishrambas case, and there are few more cases according to the media reports. So he is not supposed to be a fit witness to act as a punch.
He's not a fit witness basically because he has been...
Yes, of course.
crime before.
If he has got any criminal case against him,
Yes, of course.
if he has got any criminal case against him,
He's automatically not a credible witness to have.
yes.
And that's just the courtroom drama related to the case. Outside the courtroom too, the NCB's case is facing a host of challenges as the focus now shifted towards NCB's Mumbai zonal chief Sameer Wankhede, with corruption and extortion allegations being raised against him. A new name in the case, Prabhakar Sail, has introduced many new twists in the case and placed sensational charges against Wankhede. Sail, who had become witness number 1 in the case, also claims to be the personal bodyguard of independent witness Kiran Gosavi. You might recognize Gosavi from the viral selfie of Aryan Khan after his arrest. Now, according to an NDTV report, on 24th October, Sail alleged in an affidavit that Gosavi demanded Rs 25 crore from Shah Rukh Khan's manager Pooja Dadlani to cover up the case involving his son. The amount was brought down to Rs 18 crore, of which Rs 8 crore was to be given to Wankhede. And from here on, more and more layers have been getting added to the twist. First, days after Sail came forward, another witness, Shekhar Kamble, said that he was also made to sign 10 to 12 blank pages by Wankhede in another drug case. These pages, according to a wire report, were later used as a panchnama in connection with the Nigerian national's arrest in August this year. Now, since taking the selfie with Aryan Khan, Gosavi has been missing in action. But in another twist, he was arrested by the Pune police on 20th October for reportedly absconding from a 2018 cheating case. And prior to his arrest, Gosavi via video statement stated that Sail is lying and the allegations are false. Second, a Hindustan Times report states that Sameer Wankhede went ahead with the raid on the cruise ship despite the NCB headquarters' recommendation of not doing so, given that there were no major players involved in the case and the drugs on board were likely to be insignificant. Third, and this one further casts shadow on the credibility of the case, is Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik on 26 October accusing Wankhede of illegally tapping phones and also stating that he possesses a letter from an unnamed NCB officer which lists 26 cases where Wankhede and his team allegedly planted drugs on people to arrest them. The serious allegations against Wankhede even led to him being quizzed by the agency vigilance team for reportedly 4 hours. And in a statement to ANI, Deputy Director General of the NCB Gyaneshwar Singh said that Wankhede will remain the investigating officer of the case until substantial evidence is found against him. Meanwhile, Wankhede has received relief from the Bombay High Court from arrest. But what do the looming allegations against Wankhede and the Mumbai NCB say about the investigation? According to Suhas Gokhale, both Sail and Gosavi, who were the key witnesses for the NCB, should have been automatically eliminated given their criminal records. He adds that their involvement in the case throws serious doubt on the investigation. Now, one of the concerns that the NCB has raised in the court was that there was the chance of tampering of evidence, and even argued that Shah Rukh Khan's manager Pooja Dadlani was trying to influence witnesses. But given that all the evidence was seized by the NCB at the night of the arrest on 2nd October, and following that as well, any other evidence which was recovered by the NCB has been in their possession at all times. So, is there even a chance that evidence can be tampered? What are the protocols of seizure and filing of evidence once recovered from the accused? We took this question to former senior Mumbai NCB official Suhas Gokhale, and according to him, the possibility of any evidence being tampered with is out of the question, since protocol mandates that any drugs seized during any raid or arrest are weighed, bagged and tagged at the spot of the arrest, and the information is also sent to the NCB's headquarters the same day. As we said, legal experts already pointed out that there are big gaps in the probe disregarding protocols, arrest without possession or consumption of drugs. But what these new twists and turns are doing are also raising doubts about the credibility of the witnesses and the investigation as a whole. The final bail order will be released by the Bombay High Court detailing the conditions of the bail on 29th October. To catch more updates regarding this case, head over to the Quint's website, and you can also catch all the updates on Quint's social media handles. If you liked listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.